can't do this to God. Because I was released, I was holding on to clients because I was in an expired season. And being in an expired season, you hold other people up from getting what they're supposed to get. So when I release those clients, guess what? They're going to other people that need those clients. So my release is a blessing for someone else. So I'm holding up because I'm hoarding. And God is already making room for me spiritually in other areas of my life and gifting because I've served all my time here and I asked God for this. So how dare you be afraid when it show up and you want to hold on to something that you hoard and that's no longer yours. These people belong to somebody else in the next season. And you're overstaying because it's comfortable, because you got used to it, because this is how you've been living. Somebody in here is comfortable. Somebody in here is afraid. Somebody in here is doing this to God. And God is saying, I need to see more of you. And the only way you can prove yourself to me is by releasing back to me what is already mine, that I've already given to you. And I just need to see if I can trust you to give it back. Whoever this message is for, you got to go to God like this. Because you're giving everything back and you can take everything in.
Good evening, you guys. It is your girl, Kai Smith, coming to you live once again. Which translates to you know. Now listen, we got some conversation going on tonight. I have a guest that I want you guys to be familiar with. And if you are already familiar with this person, then you're going to really enjoy this live tonight. Now, if this is your first time joining me in this space, then you need to put your oxygen mask on because we're about to take flight as we do about this time every Tuesday at 7:15 p.m. Central Standard Time. So make sure you buckle up, get that oxygen mask ready because we're about to ascend to heights that will blow your mind. It's all about transformative thinking. Transformations happen in this space. And if you don't already know, make sure you share this broadcast out to your social media tribe. Again, I am Kai Smith, also known as your hair loss advocate. Been in the beauty industry for over 30 years as a licensed beauty professional. I'm also a functional certified trichologist. I am the founder of the American Academy of Hair and Scalp Diseases, where we certify beauty pros to become trichologists. I am the creator of the signature program, ID Hair Loss Behind the Chair. I am an author, a mother, a wife, a lover of God, and I enjoy and I'm very passionate about helping women identify the unknown factors about their hair loss. So come on in, come on in, come on in. You might need a pen and a pad because we're talking about from flyer to feelings, how to create a brand that resonates and captivates. So listen. The reason why this is important is because we're out here and we are trying our best. We're trying to build business. We're trying to get new clients, but we forget about one thing, and that's the branding. We can't be the best kept secret, right? We got all the secret sauce, and we need to know how to build and market our brand. So personal branding is going to be the topic for tonight. And we are having this conversation with no other than Mr. Christopher A. Bond of Brand Cocky. He's also known as the Brand Daddy. But let me go ahead and let this video run so that you can learn more about why he's decided to partner with the Kai Smith brand. So let it go.
The reason I chose IDBTC is because of Kai Smith. I mean, that's the only reason. I'm not in the profession. I'm not a hairstylist or a hair artist. I'm not a barber. I'm a marketing and branding specialist who work exclusively with the beauty industry. And I've been working with Kai for a number of years. And let me tell you, I haven't met a more passionate individual about this marketing Kai Smith, the passion that the drive, the calling. And this is nothing to pump her up or to pump you up. I'm telling the truth before God. Trichology is the new cosmetology. And if you haven't made that decision through looking at your clientele and noticing this epidemic of hair loss and trying to figure out that, hey, what these issues that I'm seeing, I don't have the answers for. And neither do I have it in my back bar. And I can't tell them to keep putting rice water on their head and put coconut and put pineapples and lemons. We're not finna have doggone fruit casserole on our head. But I know an individual, and I know a product, and I know a brand that can get you to the right place and direct you to all the answers you need, all the solutions you need as far as your client sitting in your chair and they are looking at hair loss. It's Kai Smith and the IDBTC. That's why I choose her, and that's why I will always endorse her.
All right. Now y'all ready? Are y'all ready for this fire conversation? Get ready, because he's also a comedian also. So he may say some things that's going to bust you out at the seams, but listen, he got the goods. He's the man behind the master plan of making the Kai Smith brand look like what it looks like. And I want to share Chris Bond with you all. So let's welcome Chris Bond to the stage.
Hey, Kai.
How you doing?
Awesome. Doing good.
That is wonderful. So, you ready to talk about this branding business? You ready to talk about what you eat, sleep, and love?
Yes, absolutely. I'm very passionate about it. It's what has given me my purpose in life. And very strong feeling about that, because it helps so many people to find their calling as well. And it's definitely necessary in today's market. With this being a digital age, we've got to find a way to separate ourselves or authenticate real from, AI or computer generated things. I mean, the robots are taking over. So who knows what's real anymore? So it's real good to be able to bite that coin and say, yep, that's gold. That's real. That's real.
So you just said something talking about AI. AI is doing a whole lot of different things, putting content writers out of business, photo editors out of business. I mean, it's doing a whole lot. And for me personally, I still like the old school touch. I'm not, I like AI for certain things, but I don't need AI running my whole business. So as a person who is building other people's brands, and basically AI, a robot, is your competition, how do you navigate that?
Again, this whole thing about personal branding is, the key word is personal. Mm-hmm. Being humanized.
Right.
And I say that one of the reasons why this industry may fail is because we have neglected that piece of being personal and being intimate again. The doctors, they still have to talk to you, get you in the office and sit in front of you and give you answers. They don't. They have technology to do it over the internet or whatnot, but it's nothing like going into a doctor's office and really getting down to the nuts and screws and bolts of what's wrong with me, and you being able to see them and lock in eyes, and they give you a prescription and you walk out and get it fulfilled. If we take that measurement away from what we have here in this beauty industry, and I posted something about it today, about just turning chairs, just going, Kai, you made this, you coined this phrase, and I love it today. We continue to chase the bag instead of chasing the blood.
Yeah.
And it's about relationship. So how do you differentiate yourself from AI? Just be a human being.
I love it. It's just that simple, right?
It's that easy, Kai.
Be yourself, right?
Be
Be the
yourself.
only person in the building that can be you. Be authentically you and understand the inner workings of yourself, and you'll outbeat AI every single time. Because even in my experience of using AI, I can't just use what AI gives me. I have to have
You gotta look through
my
that. Yes.
own stuff.
You gotta have your own voice in it.
So yeah, that's real good. What do you think happens to people who, say for instance, like myself, I have a niche, I understand my niche, I know who I'm speaking to, I understand who that resonates with, I know how to captivate my audience, I understand the solutions that I bring because I am the pain that was experienced. I am that pain. I embody that pain, which is how I derive my solutions, right?
Yes.
I've lived it. And so I've created my own solution, and now I've bottled my solutions, right?
Yes.
And so for a person who doesn't have that authenticity or hasn't been able to tap into that authenticity, and they're looking for AI to do this job for them, what do you think is going to eventually happen to their business?
Oh, you remember the dinosaurs?
Extinct? That's what comes to mind when I think about the dinosaurs.
Extinct.
All right.
You're gonna disappear. You're gonna be fossils, and then you're gonna be looking for another place of employment.
Yeah.
You know, if you
Wow.
cannot rebound and understand who your target audience is and what solutions you bring
Yeah.
to the marketplace. I told a young lady today, Kai, I said, the reason why you may be struggling with clientele is because you're not solving problems.
So then what you doing? If you're not solving problems, what are you doing?
You AI.
Hmm.
I mean, you can't cheat your way into this thing.
Yeah.
You've got to understand that the reason why you're here is to be a solution for an individual. You're
Yeah.
here to help somebody.
Yeah.
There's purpose in you for someone else. Now, the scripture says that your gifts will make room for you. Now, if we're taking the gifts and we're burying them, and the scripture calls you a wicked person.
And what I take from that is what the late great Miles Monroe used to say or has
Yes.
said is that the richest place in the world is the cemetery because everyone's talents are buried there.
Yes.
And they never got to execute and leave them on earth, which means that they died full. They didn't die empty. And my idea about living a full life is dying empty because I am going to create anything that I experience. And I'm able to shed light. I'm able to overcome it. And
Yes.
I have actually been successful and I've mastered that thing. I am going to bottle it up as long as it's in alignment with who I am as a person and as a business. And I'm going to offer it to someone else because now I have the track record. I have hit the potholes. I have hit the dips in the road and everything else to be qualified to bring something to you. Hence, the establishment of the American Academy of Hair and Scalp Diseases. And why it's so effective is because there is nothing like what I have created in that course. And it's not to come against anybody else who's created a course, but you want to know why it's nothing like what anybody else who has created in a course? Simply because I created it and no one else is like me. No one who has had the same exact experiences as I. So if I've created something based on my pain, then that automatically makes it unique. And people have a similar experience, which attracts them because if she had the same problems and she was able to overcome, and now she's as successful as she is with trichology, serving in that realm, and then she's created a course, why wouldn't I want to go and learn from her?
Yes.
versus going and learning from someone who doesn't serve in the seat of a trichologist, but only created an organization and they sit at the helm because they are visionary and they had enough, enthusiasm and inspiration to create a company because they understood that it was lucrative, versus someone with the blood, sweat, and tears like myself, who sits at the helm, the visionary, but also still very active and, being innovative and creating protocols and teaching. That's a completely different experience for a person.
That will also translate as what we call cookie cutter.
Yeah.
And so the realness or the emotional piece to it doesn't translate because you ain't walked that.
Yeah.
So when you find someone that's walked it, you can hear the passion.
Yes,
you can sense
absolutely.
it right away, and you
Yes.
can trust that because they have the expertise in it. They suffered.
Yeah.
They suffered with it. And I think that pain will transition to your profit.
Yeah.
So pain,
translates to profit if you brand and market yourself correctly. And see, here's also, Chris, tell me what you think about this, because I was taught early on, right, that when you get on a stage,
mm-hmm.
and it doesn't have to be a physical stage, because Facebook, IG, all of these things are considered our stage, our channel. So when you come into this space, if you're only here talking and you're very unintentional about talking, but maybe you have some substance in your conversation and it's something that needs to be developed, and you leave people hanging with no other way to work with you, then you've done yourself and them a disservice.
Yes.
To have all that bottled up inside of you and you're not making it available to people.
Absolutely. Definitely.
And so there's something to be said about a person who dies with their gifts still buried inside of them.
Oh man, it's something sad because they could have advanced the world to another level. They could have changed the world. My brother has this thing where he says, if you don't write a book, what is your contribution to the world? Yeah. And so he pushes, hey, write about your experience, write about your lifestyle. Who cares what others may think? At least you can say, hey, I was here. Yeah. And here's a book about that. Here's my testimony about that. So here's something that you and I talked about earlier this week as well. The flip side of that is, do the individuals have the capacity to hold our pain and what we went through and be able to use it for them to advance their career or their place? Do they have the capacity for it? I would like for you to talk a little bit about that, Kai, because it was so good.
Okay. So here is something that I didn't say, but this is what's coming to my mind. It's not like I already had it in my mind. It's something that's coming now that I'm hearing you send it back my way. So let me first establish what he's talking about so that you guys can follow us in this conversation, because it was very profound when God brought it to my mind. And he says, Kai, it's desire versus capacity. You are a leader and you are responsible for people that I have allowed you influence over to bring into your space. Yeah. And as that leader, there's accountability there because you have access to certain things and you have the ability to change people's lives based on what I've given you access to. You need to be a good steward over those things, right? Just because you have access to it and someone, encounters you, or you encounter someone and they express a desire, a very strong desire, and they may be, a very good person. We're not actually gauging their, character. We're not saying they're a bad person. We're actually looking at the desire versus their capacity. Right? I have to state that because a lot of times when we start making decisions, the first thing that comes out of our mouth is, but you know what? They a good person. We start using that as a measurement, on how we're going to make decisions, a deciding factor. And when we're talking about desire versus capacity, it has nothing to do with one's character. It has everything to do with one's capacity. And a person can be a good person, but lack capacity. Right. And so they can have all the great intentions, but lack capacity. And intentions without capacity is dead. Right.
Yeah.
So with that said, when you come into, God is saying to Kai that when you start looking at people and people they're attracted to you because they see your influence, they are inspired by you, they want to connect with you. And that connection, people are wanting to connect with people for a reason, networking for a reason, having people in their circle for a reason. At least you should be having people in your network for a reason, because that's how we continue to grow and how we continue to build. And so although, Kai, you have access to these things, that doesn't mean because a person expresses a strong desire for something that you should automatically give them access to what you have. Right. Because when you mismanage your access as a leader and you're giving people things prior to them actually having the capacity, their gifting turns into a curse.
Yes.
Because you have given them something prematurely that they're not ready to handle, which is one of the reasons why it's a waiting period with God before he actually gives us things that we're asking for. We've expressed a desire to God, and God is saying, but daughter, son, you don't have the capacity for that yet. I'm building you. I'm giving you all of these distractions. I'm giving you all of these obstacles because I'm trying to build you. I'm doing something here. And if you just tend to your business while you waiting on me, I promise you the rubber band's not going to break, that the capacity is really there. But a lot of times we get caught up in the desire of a person and the person being a good person. And you know what? I want to see them win. So we give them access to something because of what they've expressed, yet they don't have the capacity. And if you go far enough back in their history, then you'll be able to pinpoint why they're still where they are and lack the capacity, because they're really irresponsible. They are in love and they romanticize the idea of something versus actually executing something, which is why they continue to lack the capacity. And they never grow into that capacity, because a rubber band has the capacity, but if you don't stretch it all the way, you'll never know how far it can stretch, right?
Sure, absolutely. And so I brought that piece up because a lot of people tend to come to me, Kai, and they say, I want to build, or I want to rebrand, or I want to, get out here. I want to get the exposure. And they have the desire, but they don't have the capacity to look inward and to figure out all the things that has kept them at this point now. And with personal branding, I say that it's a thing of inward looking. And we'll probably get into this, but you really need to understand, we talked about it before, you got to understand your language. You have to understand the ins and outs of who you are. You got to understand your triggers, what sets you off. Where do you need to heal? Where are the broken places? Hey, I just recently got therapy and been doing it for a month now. And it's been a real good help because she's been giving me different ways to look at things and to research. And it's kind of like, why do I do this? And you don't have a prescription. Why do I feel like this? And you don't have a diagnosis. Now the therapy comes in and gives you the diagnosis, and it then gives you the prescription. Now you can have the right arsenal or the right ammunition to go at this thing and make those corrections. But if you don't go out there and seek the help, then you're going to continue to keep asking yourself, why do I keep doing this without having the necessary things to get past it? And personal branding will open that up for you. I tend to think that personal branding is the trichology of branding and marketing, because you got to look inward. You got to see the science of how you were made up. And we go back to your childhood and we look at from day one. your mother, your father, your relationships, your teachers, all these things come into play as to the type of person you are. And so you better be careful what you want to brand, because you could possibly be branding the wrong thing.
Well, research has proven that a person's self-esteem has already been set by the age of 5.
That's good.
And so by the age of 5, a person's self-esteem has already been set, whether it's good or bad. And this self-esteem is basically coming from the language that adults have been speaking to you
Yes,
as
yes,
a child, and you replay those experiences over, and it starts eroding your self-esteem, which is
right.
then we start creating other personas in our teenagehood and then our adulthood, and then we have so many poor experiences that mount on top of that 5-year-old, that then we become buried in our subconscious with all of these poor behaviors, and then we have
Yes,
so many triggers that we don't really understand what they are. And so the one key thing that I feel like one has to have when starting to build a brand is self-awareness. If you
yes,
lack self-awareness, there's no way for you to build a brand. Absolutely, Toya. Toya says at 5, you got to be kidding me. Absolutely. Because see, what we have to understand is our subconscious mind begins from birth. Even
mm-hmm.
going through the birth canal, the subconscious mind is actually having an experience as an infant. We have been fooled into thinking that we don't really have an understanding until we start talking. But we have an understanding subconsciously through our emotions at the time of birth. And we take on a lot of those emotions in the mother's womb through all of the nervous system, all those vessels and the umbilical cord that's there. All of that is set. Even the child's gut microbiome is set at that point, and it can go left or right. And so all of these things are already set emotionally in a child. They're already having either positive or negative emotions at birth, right?
Yes,
That
absolutely.
is in the subconscious. The subconscious marks a record from the time we are birth until our end date, because you have to remember, we forget that we are spiritual beings,
That's
that this
it.
body is just a vessel, but our spirit is there, right? The spirit is there in the mom's womb. The spirit is there. So it is already having interactions, right?
Yes.
So we have to be aware of that. So it is not very hard to understand or to believe that at 5 years old, our self-esteem has already been set, because we have so many subconscious experiences by then. Just do the research on it. When you start looking at self-esteem, self-acceptance, self-responsibility, living consciously, those are all things that one should be doing in order to build a healthy brand that attracts a healthy mindset person.
As,
You first have to live consciously. You
as,
have to be aware about the choices that you're making in that moment. You
yeah,
have to assume self-responsibility in order to all of those things go hand in hand with self-esteem, because regardless to what you're saying out loud, what you're thinking in your mind is really your self-esteem. So you can say, oh, I ain't tripping off that. But what's replaying in your mind about how many times you made poor decisions when this relationship didn't work out? Why do you keep attracting the wrong people into your circle? That starts eroding your self-esteem based on the conversations you're having silently with yourself. All of that shows up in what you attract. And then you don't feel safe within yourself to make healthy decisions. So how could you feel safe to attract the right people to you in your business through brand building without first becoming self-aware?
there it is. Tied it all together. We tied it all together. It is, as a man thinketh, so is he.
Yes.
And, when I first started this whole branding, personal branding thing, I started it because I needed it. I was dealing with the pain of confidence. I was dealing with the pain of fear and shaking in my boots, and I'm not good enough, and so I said, how can I be better?
Mm-hmm.
And the Lord dropped in my spirit, brand cocky.
Wow.
Brand cocky. Of course, he could have said brand with confidence. But I mean, you know, that ain't got a nice little ring to it. But when we
Brand cocky does.
when we think about cocky, we think about a person that is sure of themselves. They know what they have the abilities to do, and they have a self-esteem that shoots out the roof. Now, I want to make sure that we don't get cocky mixed with arrogance. Brand cocky is not arrogance. Brand cocky is confidence in who you are and what you're supposed to be doing for the kingdom.
Yes.
And for the kingdom. We're all here to be servants, to serve one another. You know, Zig Ziglar says, hey, if I can help you get what you want, I'm going to automatically get what I want.
But that's what a leader is supposed to be there to do. A good leader serves its people before it actually gets served. A good leader makes sure its people are taken care of before they are actually taken care of. A good leader makes sure that the people that they are leading, that when they get to the end of their road, that is something there in it for them, not you following in behind this leader. And then when the leader stops, your path ends and there's nothing there for you. A good leader leaves fruit for their followers to eat from.
Yes. A good leader says, hey, if I don't do this for you, I'm not worthy to be called master. And so a good leader gets all the way down to the lowest point, to the dirtiest point, and he washes the disciples' feet. And this is an example to show you that, hey, the Son of God counted not robbery to be able to come down and to serve and to, you know, take those 39 stripes and be hung on the cross. You know what? I'm sorry, Kat. We supposed to be talking about Brandon. I always flip to the Bible.
But you know,
I always go there.
Yeah, you can't not talk about the Bible when you're building a business for the kingdom. So I'm okay with that, because people are in corporate America, you're muzzled. You can't really speak about the Bible. But when you're building your own brand, and I tell people all the time, you know, if you're not ready to talk about God, don't come to Nothing Kai Smith, because because we gonna talk about God, we gonna do God, because I wouldn't be nothing without none of that. Now, you know, at the end of the day, you know, you do have a choice, but we gonna talk about God, and we gonna praise God up in here, you know. So I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not gonna muzzle myself, you know. I'm going to speak very open and freely about it. I want to run to a commercial really quickly and then get back and hop in. I have a few questions that I want to ask you so that people can understand Brand Cocky and what Brand Cocky is doing in the beauty industry and why they need to align with Brand Cocky.
Absolutely.
We'll be right back, you guys. Share this out with your followers, please.
Hair loss had been going on in my family, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, I done made it to the point like, that's it. I don't know what else, you know, and not understanding that physiological matter. This has been, growth. And I like the fact that you're fierce and you don't waver, you know, and you're just, like you say, black or white, there's no gray. And I like that. And you just stretching. I'm like, man, that road band is going to come back. Is it going, you know, but it comes back, no? Yeah, it comes back. It comes back. You have given so much. Like, no, you just don't know. This is good, man. Yes. And I like the fact that you don't allow everybody in. I just feel like I'm just exclusive. Like, because you are. Man, yeah. Right. Yeah. And I'm glad you're obedient. You follow the Spirit. If He say go, you go. If He say stop, you stop. And I like that. And you make everybody feel important. It's like Mama Kata. So I really appreciate you.
And I appreciate you too, because you trust me enough to open up to allow
the work that God has for me to do, for that work to take root in you. So we're partners, because I can't do it without you. I gotta have people to transform, so thank you.
There is so much to be said about the experience that happens inside of ID hair loss behind the chair. I want to take a quick minute to just enlighten you on the educators that we have there outside of Chris, because Chris is definitely one of our educators that will be talking to you about reimagining yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Reimagining yourself. You have gone through this 5-year process, and you're coming out with something new. So it's time to reintroduce yourself, because your people don't know you as the person that you're coming out of ID as. So it's going to be time for a reintroduction. And so when you reintroduce yourself, are you going to know how to reintroduce yourself? Or are you going to align with Chris while he's at IDBTC to support you on building your brand based on where you're going and not where you've been? Not as a cosmetologist, but as a hair loss first responder, a certified scalp microbiome specialist, and whatever other aspect you want to be known as a hair loss expert, right? There's elements that need to go with that. So after understanding how to build 6 figures around this new thing that you're doing, you need to know how to reintroduce yourself accordingly, and not just to your current clients, to the prospective clients that don't even know they need what you offer yet, right? So this is one of the things that we're deaf on at IDBTC. In addition to Chris, who else do we have that's going to be gracing the stage? We have Marche Mayfield coming in with the business and tax strategies. She's essential to this piece, because you're going to learn how to build an additional 6 figures in this space. As a result of that, you need to position yourself financially to take in those 6 figures, because that is going to inevitably place you in a new tax bracket. Are you prepared for that tax bracket that you're going to go into? Are you prepared for that responsibility? And so many other things she's going to be talking to you about and teaching you on how to put that CEO hat on and not just look like money, but actually have money in the bank. Who else we got? We got Dr. Joy K. Madison there. She is our in-house psychologist. She is so amazing. She invites you into that self-awareness. I'm going to leave that right there, because that's a whole experience in and of itself that will transform the way you see yourself, so that you can transform the way you show up in your business every day to build that personal brand that you so desire. Who else we got? Oh, we got Miss Dania Durden. She is an AAHSD educator. She's also our scalp microbiome specialist, supporting all of our guests with understanding the connection between gut and scalp health. So she is the facilitator of certifying you as a scalp microbiome specialist, and so much more in that space. You don't want to miss that. We have Ms. Tam Waters. She is new to the platform, coming in with non-surgical hair replacement, and also doing that from a trichological perspective. So we talked last week about how many additional streams of income Tam is actually going to be showing you how to make, or introducing you to non-surgical hair replacement. And then she's also showing you how to position yourself to get government grants. And I'm sorry, not government grants, but government contracts. And she's also supporting you with receiving funds from medical insurance. That's 3 streams of income that she's coming and hitting the stage with. So you wonder why you need a Marche Mayfield on your team? You wonder why we have a business and tax strategist there? Because we want to make sure that we don't just teach a new skill set, but we support you as a whole, so that you go out there as a full force to be reckoned with, right? Who's next? We got Jessica Davis. She is also an AHSD educator. Jessica, she's coming to you with an understanding from a natural hair perspective. All things locks and natural hair is her thing. We want to bring this to the forefront, because so many people are moving into the space of locks, any kind of locks, traditional, whether it's sister locks, and we need to understand the canvas of the hair and the scalp before we move into that space, to make sure that we're making the best decisions solutions for the customer. Remember, desire versus capacity. And in that space, Jessica's going to be giving you the desire versus the capacity so that you can indemnify your career and you don't cause traction alopecia and some other things to happen on the client's scalp because they desire to have something. Who's next? All right, we got Chris Bond. This is a whole conversation here on this BTC Live tonight. So if you continue to stay tuned with us, you're going to understand even more why you need to be there for this branding and marketing specialist. Who else? We got Miss Micheline Barber, impacting the minds of millions. Micheline is coming in, opening the event up, kicking it off, because again, that is when we're transitioning the mindset. Micheline has staying power in the beauty industry. She is a pioneer who is an influencer. She is the founder and creator of Impulse Summit, Impact Beauty. She has done so many amazing things in this industry, and she is the very person that you should be aligning with and sitting under so that you can understand how you need to move, how you need to build to keep that staying power. Last time she spoke about pruning and pouring, and that session was amazing. So many electrical things happened in that space as far as the Holy Spirit was concerned. You had to be there. If you know, you know. So who we got next? We also got yours truly, Kai Smith. I'm that redhead girl. I am the facilitator of all things trichology at IDBTC. So everything that you need to know about introduction to trichology, I will be filling your plate. As Tam said earlier, Tam Waters said earlier, I'm still feasting on this knowledge. A table will be set for you at IDBTC. If you want to level up, that's the space to be. You have until September 23rd to get your ticket. We are down to a one pay right now. We're down to a one pay. So you better get that ticket, make that investment, because the era of hairstyling has changed. And without trichology experience, you will become a dinosaur. Let's just put it like that. Without that experience, you will become extinct because people's hair is not going to stop falling out, but people will more and more start sitting at the table of trichology, which will eventually etch the people out that don't believe that they need this science behind their life. So let's get back to this conversation. The link is at the bottom. Go ahead and enroll now. Write that link down so you can go and you can reserve your spot. We can't wait to serve and support you, lock arms with you, and give you this explosive information, this mind-blowing information. Now, Chris, listen, I got some questions for you, sir. My first question is, why is brand identity more than just a logo?
Well, that's a real easy question. No, brand identity is more than a logo in the fact that the brand identity is the personality of a brand. The brand identity encompasses everything that message the brand. Its values, its tone, its color, its guarantee. That's what the identity does. Now, a logo is just a symbol.
Mm-hmm.
Symbol. I mean, it's just, hey, there it is. It's a pointer. And so you don't want to put a whole lot of work into the logo if you don't have a strong identity.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it is for me, Kai. I like to hear your thoughts.
I'm just sitting here laughing, smiling, not like ha, but I'm just like, you hit the nail on the head for me. I could just expand a little bit because you hit it. Values, your mission, what is the vision? You know, I'm a big proponent of understanding your purpose, understanding the vision and the mission, because the purpose is what you're supposed to be doing, how you're supposed to serve these people through your gifting. And then you have your vision. How is a person going to be as a result of your solution? And then you have your mission. That's that thing in action. How are you going to take that purpose and match that vision to manifest that vision? That's how those things line up right there. And so you encompass all of those things. Values. What do you value? The reason why we attract things that we think are valueless is because what we're putting out is valueless. So we attract what we are. So this is why self-awareness is a huge thing, a huge place to start. You also hit on something when you said
a logo is just a symbol, right?
It's a
And I
symbol.
started smiling because I'm like, how many people and I am guilty, so don't even remove me from this. I'm just gonna be clean with you. I'm talking to you from wisdom. This little gray hairs and all these, some of these wrinkles and fine lines you see coming on my face. That's indicative of wisdom. So I didn't just wake up here. I had to go through all of the roadblocks in order, the detours, in order to get what I have, which is why I have bottled it up so that y'all don't have to go all this distance that I did. I got 100,000 miles on a car that I didn't have to necessarily get 100,000 miles on. I could have had 50,000 miles on it if I would have just had a Kai Smith or a Chris Bond in my life, right? So at the end of the day, you hit on it saying symbol. How many people, and y'all out there, come on, talk to us. We don't want to just talk to each other. We hope we talking to y'all too. So I want y'all to chime in the chat if y'all did this like me. Your girl did this. Every time I came up with a business idea, the first thing that I did was I want a logo for it. I don't have a concept. I don't have nothing. I just got a title for something. And I want a logo. I have no story behind it. There is no concept to draw from it. And then I'm going to my graphic designer saying, not Chris, because I was very well experienced by the time I got to Chris, right? But I'm going to my graphic designer saying, can you make me a logo for Follicles 360 Salon and Wellness Spa? Because that was my first salon, right? Can you make me a logo for that? Well, what do you want it to look like? Well, I don't know. It's for a beauty salon. So can you just make me a real good one, though? I want it to look nice.
Yes.
I have not left my graphic designer anything to work with. And then the first thing that I'm going to say when I get it back, if it don't meet my idea that I had in my head that I couldn't articulate with my mouth to him, is that I don't like this. But I got him reaching in the air trying to pull out an idea for me that I've never articulated. How many of y'all out there in Facebook land or YouTube land have done that? Please.
All of them. Every last one of them.
Yeah.
Because they want to hide behind the symbol. Here's the thing. When we come to this place of business and we start thinking about how we're going to market and brand, first of all, we have to understand the difference between branding and marketing. Like they're two separate things.
They are.
And so I know that when I first started in business, I thought that, hey, you get a logo first. And it's totally the opposite. You get the brand message, you get the brand identity first, and then you take
the brand message.
The brand message. Did I say something right there?
You did. What's the brand? Because I just want to make sure. Because see, when I was coming up, I didn't know what's brand message. Like my message is, I want to do your hair, and you need your hair done. So come and get it done. That's the message.
Well, brand message is whatever. Let's say that Kai, you do trichology, and that's all you do. Right? That is your baby. And so brand message is the core communication of your values behind trichology and why you're so passionate about it. And that brand message is going to be consistent everywhere you show up. You're going to tell the same story every time you show up in every space.
Yeah.
You're not going to deviate. You're not going to say something in this room and then go in another room and then say something totally different. Why? Because it's not authentic. The brand message is consistent.
Now, do I need to have self-awareness to know what that brand message is going to be?
Of course. Absolutely. It's all tied together.
Yeah.
How can you be real and attract an audience if you're not in tune with yourself? You got to speak.
Is that a way that I can show up in different rooms saying different things when I'm not in tune with myself and I'm just going based on the current trend or what I think people want to hear, or if I'm just chasing the bag and not the blood?
Kai, these questions are so good right now. You're hitting on some real key points. This is why I said it's very important for you to know yourself. I heard this term when I was going through my journey. Be true to thine self. And when I really pulled that out and started answering that question, what is being true to myself? Not being true to somebody else, not trying to show front or face to impress somebody else. I used to at one time, check this out. I used to at one time call myself a chameleon. A chameleon is his defense mechanism is whatever he jumps on, he can camouflage to that to save his life. And so I would go in different rooms, and whatever that room is, boom, I changed to that room. And you know that I could not find who I really was because I've had all these different identities. And so how can I be really convinced that what I'm speaking out of my mouth, how can I be true to that when I'm not even sure about it?
Mm-hmm.
This is why you need your brand messaging. And this is why it needs to be something you went through. It's something
authentic.
You struggled through, you bled through it, you cried through it, you have scars. And this is what makes you to survive in this industry as long as you have, Kai, and continue to create these amazing products and opportunities for individuals because it's in you. You're not making it up. You're not going to YouTube and finding the next trend and saying, oh, I'm going to do that and create that.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I'm sitting here smiling because you said you got the scars, right? And I'm thinking about you literally in your scar that you have because branding has been a part of you since a child. Like you really about that brand life. So I'm thinking about the scars. Like this dude got physical scars. You know, typically we're talking about emotional scars, emotional wounds, right? No, this dude has flesh wounds on him because he decided that he needed to be, you know, he wanted to brand himself like Popeye.
Right.
As a kid, how old were you?
Man, 10. 9 or 10 years old.
So he literally put heat to a hanger.
Yes.
And stuck it on himself and branded himself. Like he got the scars, y'all. So because he wanted to be like Popeye. Listen, he put a C and a B on the other side that was fake.
See to be that way.
He was just doing too much.
Yes.
I love that story so much because it was from the heart. Mm-hmm. And that stuck with me. And that's what branding, that is the epitome of branding. Like I will never, ever forget that story ever. And yeah, that right there, when you told that story, that stuck in my head. How does a person, that's electrifying branding because you want to be so unforgettable. You want to captivate. And that's what this says, how to create a brand that resonates and captivates. He captivated me with that story and I could resonate with what he was saying because what he was trying to show us was I've been doing this and I just didn't know that's what I was doing until I understood it better. Right. Now I could be more intentional about it. But even at 10, I was actually branding. Yes. That's so good, Chris. Like that's huge.
And that's a part of the message. That's a part of the brand message. That is a value that, you know, I'm going to live for the rest of my life with that, you know. But it does drive the point home of telling stories and understanding brand messaging and your identity. And that's the reason why I'm so passionate about it, because it does keep you separated from your competition. If you got a story like that, they're gonna go home and think about that dude. I bet his mom, and that's gonna be a whole conversation piece that folks will be talking about all day, and it's gonna stay up here.
I'm still talking about it. Yeah, I learned that in February, and I'm still talking about it. Like I'm like, wow, like this dude really got branding at his core. Like this is real. And then not only that. because it was a painful experience, but you managed to make comedy light out of it, and the way you brought it to the stage. I just think that it was so genius the way you took that and then manifested, your brand behind it.
Every story has an element of a silver lining. There's every emotion in any story, so you can find like joy and a laughter piece in it when you look back at some stuff. We always hear, man, we gonna laugh at this after this. We gonna have a time to laugh about this, and it's true. And here's the thing too, your scars are not just for covering up and hiding, but these scars will actually help you to relate to your target audience. It brings you closer to them.
Yeah.
When they can say, "Oh, I thought I was alone." Micheline was in Atlanta, and she was talking about her depression, and she was talking about how she was going through a situation. She had no idea that it was connected to menopause. And when she put that story out there in the atmosphere, after she walked back to the back, people started coming to her and saying, "Oh, is that what that was? Is that what I'm dealing with? Yes, tell me more. Give me more information. I didn't know." And she had gathered another audience just by sharing that story.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. If she would not have been transparent enough or had the self-confidence or the esteem to share that, we still would have people still wondering, why am I in this bed? The air is on 69 and I'm burning up.
Yeah. And also, she utilized her influence. She was able to translate influence, because really, guys, what you don't understand is that influence is currency. Your influence, if you don't build influence, if you don't build the trust, if you don't build that reputable brand, which is why self-awareness is so huge, if you don't find a way to build that influence, then people are not going to buy from you. People are not, I don't care how good it is, they're not going to buy from you if you don't have the influence for them to do it, which is one of the main reasons why you have to find that pain. And you have to then turn that pain into profit, because that pain is then going to breed influence, because you know that thing like nobody else, and you're speaking your truth in that space. So understand, influence is what is going to make you profitable. Make sure that you're building influence.
Here's the good news. The good news is this, that all things work together. Did I say all? I did. All things work together for the good of them that love the Lord. All of your problems and all of your testimonies and trials and tribulations, the fire that you went through, 3 Hebrew boys, it's for the good. God is using these ingredients to make you the person that you are.
Mm-hmm.
He used the stripes because now we're healed by them. He used the crown because now the blood runs to us through so many generations. Over 2,000 years, the blood still saves. And you have access. You can have access to the right side, the right hand of the Father through what Jesus did. Now, if we didn't tell that brand message, or what the church says, the good news, then we have a whole lot of people that we're going to be responsible for because we didn't share it.
Mm-hmm.
So don't take your talents and your gifts and say, "Hey, nobody needs to know all of my business." I really get so irritated with people that say that because, wait a minute, you ain't got no business. There's nothing new under the sun. Ain't nothing new you can create that ain't nobody ever went through. So, what you hiding for? You allow the enemy to keep you in darkness, and shame is the fertilizer for the enemy. If you can take that power from him and expose the light, expose that area, Do you know how many blessings are attached to that situation, that tribulation you went through? Some of us are holding up our own blessings because we got our mouths shut. Now, there's a time and place for all of this. I'm not saying just start going out there and just blabbing, but there is a place where God will release you. Say that, speak that, share that,
Right.
and please be obedient because
Yeah.
you are holding the keys to somebody that's being captive.
Yeah. I think that plays into the next question that I had for you, which is how can a brand story impact its success? If you
Mhm.
did not finish answering that in its entirety, I want you to answer that as soon as we come back from this commercial break. You guys, this is an amazing live. It's full of so much information. Please share this on your timeline with your social media tribe. We'll be right back after we come from this commercial break.
So I'm sitting here reflecting and reading my notes, and the biggest thing that I'm looking at is, who are you? So many people have been going through things, including myself. So many people have been pushed and pulled in different directions, including myself. When he told me to name it victory, it was a reason. But I also was reminded that before every victory, there was a battle. Some of us are going through grieving, and not necessarily losing a person, but losing themselves. Or sometimes we grieve over the things that we used to have financially and say, I've never been in this position before. I've never been where I didn't have this amount. I could not do this, and I could not move like I wanted to. Seriously, personally, that means we got to dig deep and say, what is it in me that's been laying dormant that I thought was dead, but I did not shake it up? What is that thing about me that I know I need to change in my business, the way I've been doing business? Because I've been doing it the same way. It's been the same thing over and over. So fight for your change. Fight for that thing that's going to give you victory. Impulse Summit is preparing for that. And we're fighting for you because we know what's going to show up in Impulse Summit in September. Because God has already said so. We've already been born in victory. We walk in victory. We talk in victory. We know what victory is. Let's go through the battle and the fight together. Get the Impulse Summit. It'll be well.
Listen, Chris, Impulse Summit, they need to be there.
Absolutely.
They need to be there.
They need to be there because this is the inner work that we're talking about. Impulse Summit is not a hair show. It's not another place where you're just going to get education. You're going to work on the total man at Impulse Summit. Our vision and our mission is to transform you spiritually, personally, and professionally. Those three pieces of the body or of man. That spiritual man's got to be filled. That personal individual, you got to be filled, and that professional side is got to be filled. And once we hit all those three different areas, there is a newness. You have new vision, and I can feel like doing something, and I can feel like not doing it. But I love when I feel like doing the work versus not feeling like to do it and I still have to do it. I give a better product when I feel when Kai gives me an assignment and I'm feeling it. Man, she can't tell me that ain't hitting. I know it's hitting. But then there may be some work that Kai give me and I just wasn't feeling it and we bump heads.
Yeah. Because I'm be like, what am I? I'm gonna let him do it. What am I gonna say, Chris? What's
this is not my brand because this is not cohesive with what I'm saying. This is not it, Chris. I'm not feeling it. And I gotta tell you, man, it hurts. It hurts because my thing is to always, go over and beyond people's expectations. Sometimes I miss. Sometimes I miss. But when I come back and I'm feeling it, then we all good. And so let Impulse Summit give you the want to.
Yeah.
Let it give you the want to again, the want to go back in the salons and the want to go dress up and put your makeup on and get your hair done and not go in the salons with your house shoes on and your just jogging suit on and you just going in there, ain't made up your face and you whatever you feel like, that's what you giving off to your client. And you wondering why your clientele is dwindling. The experience and the expectation have just been swallowed up because of life be lifing,
But God be guiding. Life be lifing, but God be guiding.
Right. And so come back and get rejuvenated. Kai Smith is going to be there. We're giving Kai Smith a main stage. Everybody's going to be in the room. No one will be able to miss this amazing presentation that Kai is going to deliver. Dania Durden is going to be in the building again. This she's her first time being an educator, and she's going to be sharing her amazing new book. I can't wait for that to be released. We got Tom and Zan, amazing power couple and coaches. We've got a number of educators, but we also have mental health. We've got a men's panel this year for the men to come together and to talk through some things. And then we've got an amazing church service on Sunday, which is going to blow everything to the roof. And then there's that release. The release is the major component to Impulse Summit, because whatever we came in with, we're going to leave it all there at the altar. Don't take it back home. Leave it there and be free and lighter and excited to return home with new information, a new attitude, and just a spirit to do more, to finish out the year on blast.
Yeah.
So don't get it confused that, hey, this is just another educational opportunity. I've had enough classes. No, you haven't had this experience. So be there. You'll see it's different. It's different.
Yeah.
Real different.
I'm excited to meet you as well. I can never remember how to pronounce her name. Chris, help me. Angie. Thank you. I'm gotta want to make it all difficult, but girl, I can't wait to meet you too. I see, you just got to be honest. I don't want to just, I don't know how to pronounce it, but I see her name all the time, and I'm like, I never remember how to pronounce it, and you told me before, and I can't wait to meet you as well. I'm excited about the new people. I'm excited about seeing the old faces. I'm just excited because it's another platform where I get to share that is in brand alignment with what I'm already doing as far as giving back to the kingdom. And I'm just excited. I
have to say this too. Yes. Kai, thank you for being our top sponsor and partner. I'm not going to give that number, but it's the biggest number. Yeah. I will.
No, you know how I am. No.
Kai said, Chris, I'm going to send you a birthday gift, but it's for you. Do not post it. And I said, already did. So
right. And I'm like, you got that message before you posted that. You was just being hard-headed and defiant. I already knew.
We want to say thank you because, if you understand anything about Kai, this is a no-nonsense young lady. The first time I was ever assigned to interview her was for Mentorship Academy, shaking in my boots just because of the presence that she had that I haven't seen on any other brand except Kai Smith's brand. Now, you got to go back several years to check out the Kai Smith that I saw. Had all this long, curly, fluffy hair all on her back and all light skin and everything with the white coat on and just looking very like, man, I ain't on her level yet. I am afraid that I'm going to say something stupid and she's going to say, I'm done with this interview. Goodbye. That was Kai Smith. And it is still Kai Smith.
It is.
But you can't judge a book by its cover. You gotta get in there and turn the pages and see that what Kai Smith is offering you, it's all wrapped up in love. And if any individual does not take advantage of this and you're looking from a distance and you're making judgment before even opening up your mouth and introducing yourself, you're giving yourself a disadvantage. You want to be connected to IDBTC. You want to be somewhere in the area of her lives or her free webinars. You're going to pick up something. She always dropping gems, heavy gems too, heavy. She said to me, Chris, I get my biggest returns by giving it away for free. And I was like, wow, you do?
I do.
Yes, I do. And so here's the individual is not a gatekeeper. And she's not an individual that says, you know what, I know it all. There's nothing you can tell me. There's nothing you can teach me. I got it all together. And that's not the case. She's always ever learning and always turning and doing research. She said today, she said, I was studying today, Chris, this is what I learned. You know, she helped me to a term called evergreen. Evergreen has been out forever, but how come I'm just not understanding what evergreen means?
What I tell you what I called you, Chris? I need this one to be evergreen, Chris. And you was like, ever what? Kai, what does that mean? How long you been knowing that term, Kai? Chris, I've been knowing it. I was taught that when I did my marketing years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me tell you, he was like, oh, okay. All right, I get it. But here's the thing. I appreciate all the edification, Chris. I truly, truly do. And every word that he said is absolutely true. But that is where God had to place on me desire versus capacity, because I know that I have a lot to offer. I know that I'm a person of value. I know that I bring value in every single room that I step in. And because I understand that, and I think that when a person says that they desire to have something, because when I say I desire to have something, I mean I desire to have it. And I'm willing to do the things that I need to do to conform to that thing. And what I have to understand is not everybody is willing to do that. Not everybody is ready to do that. And some people live in a space of lack mindset. And no matter how much you give them, they will only keep trying to hoard, because in their mind, they're telling themselves, it ain't never enough for me. It's never enough. I don't never have enough. And the more you give them, the more they're going to hoard. And then they end up, because of this toxic mentality that they have, that is what ends up disconnecting me from people. And then God said, you keep showing up to this because you are not looking at their capacity. Kai, the lesson I need you to get is not them. Don't blame them. They're just being who they just being who they being.
Right.
Don't blame them, because they are who they are. This lesson is for you to get, so that you understand that everybody doesn't have the capacity to hold a Kai Smith in their life.
Yes.
Ooh, that's powerful. Everybody, awesome. And again, this is not from a place of arrogance. This is from a place of confidence and understanding who God called me to be. Yes. And I decided to raise my hand and say, yes, Lord, I am going to
take all of my gifts and I'm going to master them. And I am not going to hold back anything. And those people who are under me, I'm going to pour into them continually without holding back. But then you get some that are imposters that get into that space because they got both of their hands out, but they don't want to serve in the space. They just want what they want, and they're not willing to continue to build and evolve to continue to hold it. It's like trying to pour something into a cup that has a lid on it.
I love what you just said. It's not a place of arrogance. It is not. And, you know, and the picture that came to my head was this story. 3 Hebrew boys said to the king, they said this, Kai, we are not careful to answer you in this way. If he save us, then we Gucci. If he don't save us, we know he can.
Mm-hmm.
So throw us in the fire. Throw us in there.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not bound down.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what David said. David said, who is this Negro who defies the name? who I got to take down right now? Mm-hmm. When I was in the field with them sheep, a bear came. I took him out. I took that lion dude out. Took him out. So I know this dude ain't nothing. This is the confidence. This is the brand messaging. This is the identity that we're looking for. That's going to separate you. That's going to bring you to a place where you can meet others that need what you're providing as a solution to their problems. Mm-hmm. If you're not solving problems, you're not making profit.
No, if you're not solving problems, you're not making profit. And if you're not solving problems, then you are missing the very essence of why God created you to be on this earth in this space and time. Because the reason why you weren't born in another century is because what he was creating you for during that time is needed right now. So if you're sleeping on your gifts, then you're defying God. You're being disobedient. Because he created you right now because you have a problem that you need to solve. It's just that you're overlooking it and you are probably looking in other people's lanes. And then that makes you feel like you're not good enough. I'm not enough. Your inner critic is too high in your head. You got too much fear, so you just got to get out there and do it. And I'm not saying jump out there without a parachute. Allow your parachute to be a coach, someone who can hone that and bring you into the lane, your niche, so that you can rock that niche out. Because if you stay too wide, you're casting a wide net. You don't know who you're talking to. You're getting guppies, shrimp, crab, lobster, and all kind of stuff when you cast it out there in that water like that. You need to narrow it down so that you can narrow it down to who are you actually speaking to? What problem do they actually have? Do they actually have disposable income? Where do they live? Do they go to church? Are they, a socialite? Are they in a sorority, a fraternity? What are they do? Who are they? What is their actual personality type? You need to know a personality type before you start creating brand language, because you need to understand A, B, like how is that going to land on their ears? Who are you talking to? You need to understand the psychology of a brand before you just hop out there. All of this needs to be done before you decide you want to actually package a product. Do they even need that? Do they even need this extra class over here? Okay, you got a haircutting class that you could teach. How is yours any different? Okay, Kai, you got trichology. Everybody doing trichology. How you different? Because I talk about the whole body, because we functional trichology, which is why I dubbed the term functional trichology, because we talk about the whole person. We talk about the emotion stuff that they're not really talking about. When I first started talking about it. They're talking about it now, but they weren't talking about it when I first hit the scene.
No.
I introduced a lot of this idea into the industry. I'm a pioneer. I'm a disruptor in a positive way, if that oxymoron makes sense to you, because I take the road less traveled. When everybody else is going right, I go left. I'm not afraid to speak the truth. I will speak the truth about allopathic care and what they're actually doing to our bodies and how they're actually the primary cause of us being out of health, because they're not teaching us how to be in health. That is my brand message, and I show up with it everywhere. But you got to be careful when you're as bold as I am in the brand, then you ain't going to be invited to a lot of stages, and your confidence got to be able to hold that a lot of people ain't going to want to invite you there. But then be comfortable with the stages that you get invited to, and don't change your tune because you want to fit into a mold.
And be grateful, because if you're faithful over the little, you'll be a ruler over the much. So if 2 people show up in there,
I'm serving.
You just create 2 new disciples and watch them 2 bring in 2, watch them 2 bring in 2, and you start seeing the multiplication because you're true to yourself. You're not profit over people, you're people over profit.
But also, here's a mantra that I speak to myself all the time.
Let me hear it.
If being loyal to you means being disloyal to me, then I ain't with it.
There we go.
I'm not going to be disloyal to myself in order to dance to your tune. That's not going to happen. Call it what you want to. I'm going to be loyal to Kai first, because I have to be able to sleep with myself. I can't erode my self-esteem trying to show up and fit into all of these different pegs, because that's eroding my self-esteem, trying to measure up. Trying to be a chameleon erodes your self-esteem. So I need to be me, because so I just want to share this because I'll be having so many conversations in my head, right? And I think this is very fitting for this conversation, right? That because people think, oh, Kai, don't nothing bother you. Like, you just this strong force, you just this, you just that, you clap back real quick. The attitude is strong and fierce. Don't nothing bother you, right? It bothers me.
Oh, yeah.
But it doesn't take away my courage. It
Yes.
bothers me, but it doesn't erode my courage. One of the conversations that I've had with myself, and I'll be like, God, just please help me accept other people's difference, right?
Yeah.
Please help. But these are honest conversations that I have in my head, because I have to tell myself, accepting someone else's difference doesn't mean that I consent to what they're doing. It just means that I've learned to accept who they are. And Kai, if you say you like being unique, so if you're unique, then that means that nobody else may think like you.
Right.
Nobody else will have all the same thoughts as you. So if you are unique, then you ain't going to show up in a room where everybody is going to agree with you all the time, because you're unique. And if you love being unique, then you also have to value the fact that people are not going to agree with what you say all of the time.
It's okay. It's okay. Yeah, you and I had this conversation. I said, Kai, I don't care how many times you tell me, but I got to be the one to touch the oven to know it's hot.
Yeah.
I got to burn my fingertips. I got to know.
Yeah. and what I say, me too, Chris, but I had to learn. I had to get that wisdom so that I could stop setting myself afire.
I promise you, here's a story right here. You guys got that. What's that iron on y'all's desk or back there when y'all use y'all hot comb?
Oh, yeah. It's just the stove.
The stove on top, it says, do not touch. Does it not say that? And I touched it. Even when it said do not touch it. And I touched it.
All your fingerprints on the stove?
I left all my fingerprints on there. You can call my cousin today, and that is one of the most funniest stories she will remember about me. She
you
left.
You like leaving your skin places. You like to leave it on the hanger. You want to leave it on the stove.
I'll leave an imprint wherever I go. Let the imprint be wherever I go. I
But
did it.
that is branding, though. You just summarize everything that we talked about with branding. You leave an imprint wherever you go. That imprint now translates to impact.
There we go. Yes. I love
That's
it.
it. That's it. Y'all,
There was
I think
something I wanted you to talk about something there, because everything that's coming to me right now, and I hope, I know what it is. Thank you, Kai.
What?
This is what we're gonna leave people with tonight.
Okay.
If they don't get nothing tonight, they're gonna get this piece, and you're gonna help me through it, because we talked about this, so this is not gonna be a surprise to you.
Okay.
You and I talked about Chris, and this is along the stories of touching the iron. And we heard all our lives, be a good leader. Be the example. We heard this from our parents, but they did not necessarily give us the actual example or show us the blueprint as to what they're asking us to be. They just saying it out their mouths, be this, and then they leave. Now, we talked about this, and we said,
we did. That's why I'm shaking my head.
What is being this? What is being the example? What is being a valuable person? Or, like you said just a few minutes ago, understanding your value and understanding that, people are not going to agree with you, and it's okay. Yes, I'm hurt by the comments. Yes, Jesus stayed up all night to the point he was sweating blood. The anxiety was so high. I even asked, because I know what my mission is, but I even asked the question, if this cup could be passed, let it be. But nevertheless, so we're just being human. Okay, we're not Terminators here. We do have feelings. But what is the nevertheless? The push to continue to be Kai Smith and her authentic self. So don't miss the first part of the question where I said how we get to be that example when they're telling us to be this example. How do we show up as that example? Remember, we talked about that.
We talked about it. And this is all good. Can you guys imagine being a fly on the wall in me and Chris's conversations? Like, it's a call that starts off with, Chris, I need.
Right.
And then something else transpire. And then it's like, oh, da-da-da-da-da. Oh, right. And da-da-da-da-da. And then it's like, oh, but then an hour later, it's, right. Oh, okay. So let's get back to the graphic deal, the stuff or the video that I needed. Let's get back to that. Right? Because we done talked about 11 things while we on this call that's supposed to be about creating more brand assets for me. Right? So, and brand assets, in case you don't know, I'm just like flinging terms out there. Brand assets would be this screen that you see, the back end. That's a brand asset. That's a graphic that Chris has created for me for my lives, which is what we use so that there's continuity, because brand continuity is very important. So you don't look like you got a schizophrenic brand and your message is all over the place and your graphics, your feel is all over the place. We want the same feel. When you look at TV, you look at these talk shows, they have the same branding concept until they change seasons. Mm-hmm. If it even changes, then that's brand continuity. So you can get familiar, you understand, it feels safe, it draws you in, all of the things, right? Now that I said that, I didn't see this how our conversations go when we on the phone, right? So now you ask me, how do you pull or you draw, I'm paraphrasing, from your upbringing, how to be these things that they keep telling you that you need to be, that nobody has ever showed you how to be. They just only ever talk to you about it, right?
That's right.
That's the conversation that I was talking to you about. So let me go and state what prompted these thoughts. because I'm always learning, I'm always growing, because I'm accountable for it, because God keeps bringing new people into my space. And I want to make sure that I serve according to what he wants when he brings those people in that space. So I'm accountable for expanding myself. So my tribe makes me better because I'm accountable to them to continue to grow. If I don't grow, they stop growing.
That's right.
Right. So I have to keep growing, and I can't just keep learning trichology things. I have to learn how to be a better human. And so as I continue to grow and I learn how to be a better human, I read a lot of different things, and because I've already been given the skill set from therapy of over a decade. I have a certain skill set that I can pull myself through things. I know how to reach in and draw and understand myself. And so I read a lot of different things now, which is how I know about the 5-year-old self-esteem being established, right? And so with that said, I was prompted to think, I'm like, okay, so here's the thing. I had to go back to my childhood because I was trying to figure out a lot of my traumas and a lot of because we make decisions. Follow me, y'all. Follow me, because this is so profound. We make decisions in our lives based on how we value ourselves.
There we go. Here we go.
Right? We make decisions. They are a reflection of how well we value ourselves, whether we are aware or not.
Yes.
You're living, whether it's consciously or unconsciously, you're living, because that subconscious drives 90% of our behaviors. So if your subconscious got the record player on the repeat from 5, or the repeat from 10, and the repeat from 15, and the repeat from 20, and the repeat from 25, and 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, you've only ever made poor decisions, or maybe not necessarily being poor, but based on what the expectation was for you. Because see, a person can have an expectation. Let's just call it our parents. These people can have an expectation for us, but never taught us how to live up to the expectation. Yes. So they have an expectation and they've only taught you about it, yet they're showing you something else. So you know how they say kids do what you do, not what you say. Right? And so they're actually instilling value into you by what they do. And if they have poor behavior that they are not familiar with, or they're unaware of based on their dysfunction, then they're seeding that into you, even when they're trying to tell you that you need to have this high standard. Well, the experience that you're having with them isn't so high. I don't care how affluent they are in their bank account or with their job status, their title. If these people got poor behaviors too that they are unaware of, because just because you have accolades professionally don't mean that it is met personally. Because you can grow the business and you can get all the certifications. Hence the reason why the black judge out of Atlanta or wherever she was acting a fool at the club trying to fight the police officer, and then they got her all on camera acting a fool, not even in alignment with who she is supposed to be representing as a judge. This is a person who just had a skill set, but she lacked the emotional intelligence. So she was acting a fool while she got all the plaques on the wall.
Yeah.
Right? And so what I'm saying to you is, if that's your parent, if anybody has seen the videos of her, very defiant to the law that she's supposed to be upholding in her courtroom. She can't even follow the law, right? So that is a representation of, can you imagine being her kid?
Yeah.
She's living a double life. She's an imposter because she's not upholding. Her belief system is off. So she got a face to the world and a face personally. So imagine being reared by this. Right? And a lot of us are. And then a lot of us are reared by parents who were kids when they had us.
Yes.
Who was still growing and evolving, and all they were doing was their best, because humans, all we're ever doing is our best. Whether it can be better or not, we can only be better based on what we got inside of us, right?
Yes.
And so when you look at that and your parent is telling you, when you get in trouble, they only ever talk to you about the value or the respect when you get in trouble. That you come home, the teacher didn't called, or they didn't have to be called to the school, or you didn't showed out at the Boys and Girls Club, or you didn't got arrested at the mall, or whatever the situation might be. Then your parent want to have a conversation with you about, you come from better than that. We taught you better than that. That we don't tolerate that. You just disrespecting yourself, and you just disrespecting this family. You should be acting better than this because you didn't come from that. You came from better. Well, you only ever told me about respect. I really don't understand how that correlates to me and how I align with respect. What does respect mean for me as an individual? See, you want me to respect something outside of me, but you never really taught me what respecting myself really looked like. You only ever talked at me about it. So
Right.
how do I know how to show up as this when you never really taught me this? You just talked to me about this. So talking about it and implementing it is completely different, which is now I'm getting ready to go to the right on you, which is why AAHSD is completely different from any other trichology institution, because we don't just talk theory, we actually do implementation. We def on practical. So in anything in life, it can't just be theoretical, because understanding respect in theory and actually understanding it practically do not translate to the same thing if the person don't understand it for themselves. Because if you don't know what self-respect is, there's no way you can have respect for anything or anyone else. If you don't have value for yourself, and you never taught me how to measure value for myself, how can I value anything else?
I love it when I turn you on. We
I'm just
call
being
it
real.
we call this the Kai Smith rant session. And not that being a negative word, but this is where she really digs in and preaches and steps on a lot of toes. Keep going, Kai.
And I can only keep going because I live it. I'm just talking to you out loud about the things that I talk to myself in my head about. And you want to know why I can come out with a lot of substance out of my own head? First of all, because I had counseling for over a decade that helped me to understand my emotions and how I was wired, and the skill set to be able to manage those thoughts. So let's not override that. I didn't wake up like this, right?
Right.
Let me tell y'all something. When I first got my therapist over a decade ago, she finally told me, after years of being with her, she said, "You know what, Kai, I have to tell you that my first session with you, when I got off the phone with you and I talked to my husband, I told him, I don't think I can help her." I'm just saying, I'm just being honest. And I like the transparency because it helps other people who feel like they can't do it. I don't want you to think that I live so high up here and that where I live, no one else can live. You can live there too in your mind if you do the work. If you're not afraid of what you're going to find on the inside of you, if you just keep digging.
That's it. And you gotta want to dig. It's not gonna do it by itself. It's not gonna fall out of the sky. You have got to take investment, ownership,
It's
and
called
really
self-responsibility.
come to a place. This is jacked up about me. I gotta figure this out. This needs to change. I keep hearing it everywhere I go, from year to year to year. People keep saying the same thing. Now, everybody ain't crazy.
Yeah.
So let me figure this thing out.
We have to learn how to accept ourselves, but that becomes very hard when people have only ever told you that you were this or you were that. You have to learn how to accept yourself. For me, it was, you always got something to say. Oh, you doing too much. So trying to temper that with my negative chatter, I have to say now, but yo, do too much is the disruptor in you that's saving lives, Kai. Yo, do too much, that disruptor in you is what's transforming lives, Kai. Yo, do too much, your disruptor is what's breaking barriers, Kai. So do you need to silence that? Or are the people that's telling you you do too much not your ideal client, so they don't even matter anyway?
Right.
Or are the people that tell you do too much is because you allowed them in your space, and now they realize that they were an imposter when they got in your space. Now the oxygen is too thin because you're requiring for them to rise, and they can't rise or ascend to that level. So now you the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Still not my ideal person. So, which is one of the reasons why I had to create a vetting system, because when I first started AAHSD, I have to admit to you, I was in a space of vulnerability because this was a new organization. I was still young in my trichology, experience. I had some years under my belt, but I was still young in building that business. And so when I did it, it wasn't that I was more concerned with the numbers than the people, but I was trying to prove I needed to get these people in here to make me feel like what I created was the right thing. I needed that justification, right? In that space and time. And so this is just honesty for you guys, because we all feel it. It's just that some leaders are not willing to share with you their most vulnerable moments in their mind and be transparent about it in a public space. But I feel like these are the things that are most transforming when we come like this and you see us as, you're building, you're strong, you're this, you're that. Well, that's the person who should be able to tell you their most vulnerable stuff, so that you can see they too go through the same thing that you do. They just choose the courage instead of copping out, right? Instead of submitting and laying down to the fear, right? And so when I first built the program, I didn't have any prerequisites. I didn't have any standards. It was just like, if you wanted to learn trichology and you chose Kai Smith, then you can sign up for the program. But I had to wonder why I kept getting all these people that had more excuses than they had capacity to learn what they said they signed up for. You chose me. You said you wanted to sign up for this. But let me tell you something. That was branding mistake 101 that I made, was that I didn't narrow it down to a certain kind of person who wanted to learn trichology. It was whoever wanted to learn trichology was welcome into that space. And that means I casted a wide net and I got guppies. And therefore they had a lot of excuses. So in other words, I was casting my pearls before swine, which was why I was getting what I was getting, because I didn't have the value. I didn't see the value. I knew it was valuable, but at the same time, I was scared to step out there and present it the way that it needed to be presented, because I needed to fill these seats to prove to myself that I was accomplished. Yeah. In this space, in this new space of building a whole trichology program. I mean, that is not an easy task to build a whole trichology program. You hear me? Yes. It's not. And so when I did that, and then I kept getting all this pushback, people not finishing their certification, they signed up. I had to get a collections agency because people don't want to pay. And, all of this stuff, right? But better believe when you sign up with Kai Smith now and you're behind on pay, then it's going to show on your credit report. You will think about me for the next 7, 8, 10 years. Okay. So don't come over here playing. Don't come over here playing with yourself, because I will report you to the people, and it will reflect American Academy of Hair and Scalp Diseases on your credit report. So you won't get that car, you won't get that house, you won't get whatever else it is that you decided that you wanted coming over here playing with me and you ain't ready. Right? And I love you anyway. But if you come and you sign on the dotted line with me, no, I'm coming for you. Yeah. Right? Because we go back to desire versus capacity. This ain't no fly by night. You can't roll with your emotions with Kai, because I'm going to be the same way I am today, the same way I am tomorrow. And I'm going to hold you accountable for what you said you wanted. Right? So with that said, I had to put prerequisites in the forefront. Yes. And say, you need this, you need this, you need this, and you need this. And not only that last you need this is you have to have an admissions interview, and I have to accept you into the academy. Yes. Because I think of the American Academy of Hair and Scalp Disease as like an Ivy League prestigious school. And so we don't just take anything coming. Mm-hmm. What Laverne say, Kai is not for the weak. No, and I'm not for the ones that only have desire. They're full of desire. They're not full of work. You got to have capacity. And as long as you got capacity, baby, I'm going to help you stretch. I'm here for it. I'm going to make you show up to yourself. You're not showing up to Kai. You showing up to you. You showing up to what you said you wanted. I'm just a constant mirror reflecting back to what you said you wanted. Don't get mad at me when I show you what you wanted. I'm just saying what you said. Right? So the last part of that was, how do I keep pushing and showing up to be who I am? I keep pushing because my life depends on it.
Absolutely.
I keep pushing because God gave me an assignment. This ain't just something that I'm just doing. This is an assignment. My dash will read heavily on the work that I'm leaving and depositing into this world, because God said that this is what I'm supposed to do. So I can't put it down even if I want to. When I become fatigued, I'm still dragging it, or it's dragging me, because
Yes.
I do get fatigued. I do get fatigued. Don't think that I don't, because I do. But because God gave me this and it's in me, I can't cut it off.
Can't cut
And
it off.
so I have to keep immersing myself in the Lord. I have to keep asking for discernment. I have to keep asking for guidance on, what do I have to do next to expand myself, to go deeper in understanding who Kai is? What do I have to do next to stay at the forefront of what my students need to know for AEHSD or ID? And he gives it to me.
Yes. Yes.
What you say, Angela, you learn you. Lord, thank you for her. Yes, absolutely, Angela.
And
Absolutely.
those, you know, Angela and others like Angela are the confirmations that tell us that we're on the right path.
Yep.
They're our receipts.
Yep.
As young folks say.
Yep.
Tonight, I want people to get from this conversation that personal branding, and what was the title again? From flyer to what?
From flyer to feelings, how to create a brand that resonates and captivates.
From flyers to feeling. You know, it's so easy to put something out there and to give the perception that you got it going on. And a lot of people have used social media just for that purpose. But then when you go a little deeper and you really do the investigation on that brand or those individuals, you find brokenness, you find a lot of empty, shallow places. I don't want you to be like that when you're working with Brand Kaki. I want you to understand that it's not going to be an overnight process if you decide to work with Brand Kaki. You know, you're not just coming to me for a logo or a flyer or brand colors or rebranding. What we're going to be doing and getting into is understanding the mechanics and how you work. And I can go to this childhood story as well. And the Lord just bringing it back to me, why I am the way I am. You know, my mom used to hate to get me Christmas toys because after 2 or 3 days, she would find them broke up. She bought me an electric car. I'll play with it until the batteries go down. And then I'm finding a screwdriver to open it up to see, how does this thing work? I want to know how they made this thing work. And I tore up a lot of toys. You could say I was a little destructive. But the curiosity to understand the mechanics of it, that's what I want to do with branding you or helping you develop your personal brand. We're going to do a brand discovery call, Kai, and we're going to have a conversation for an hour about why are you the way you are right now. And if you're anywhere fearful or hesitant about sharing that information, we're going to have an issue, a problem. You're not going to get to your authentic self because you're not being transparent. To save souls, to save the world. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. They put him on a cross naked. He didn't have on a 5-piece suit. He wasn't covered up like y'all see in these pictures. This man was naked, spat upon, beat up, bruised, bloody. It was not a pretty sight. And so to get to that level of deliverance, you have to become that transparent. I'm not at that place to do that right now. but I'm working to that place. Kai is not there 100%, but she's working to that place. We have put in action or the gear in drive to get there. And some of you are saying, I need more exposure. I want more business. But you want to cheat and you want to pay your way through it without exposing these rooms and doors and closed off spaces, which if you open that up and say, God, go ahead, clean it all out. Watch the blessing come. Your blessing is really on your clock. I'm waiting on you to submit. I'm waiting on you to surrender because it's already been finished.
Yeah.
It's already done.
Reverse engineered life.
But how long do you want to keep going around this mountain? 40 years? Or do we want to get to the promised land in the 5 or 6 days that it was supposed to be?
And eat all the fruits and berries.
So, personal brand message, personal brand stories. You know, you can't hide behind a logo. The brand is you. You're the walking brand. You're the walking story. You're the walking value.
The magnet.
We do business with people we know, we like, and we trust. We know your story, Micheline. We know your story because I made you get on a video and talk about your mother and your relationship and your father. And you broke down on camera and cried and showed those tears. And that video changed so many people's lives and also brought growth to her. We know Kai's story because at every IDBTC, she releases more of her at every session. And we've got video. We understand that Kai is not trying to grow up her daughter like she was brought up. So she watches what she says to her daughter because I don't want her to be like me. Mm-hmm. We know that story if you've been on any of these lives. We know she's had a decade of therapy. Who can say that they had a decade of therapy? Consistent. Who can say that?
Nonstop.
Now, I know some little more personal, intimate stuff that I'll share real quick. That her husband gave her the space to be the Kai Smith that we're getting today. That he had a certain anointing and a grace and a covering to allow her to develop and be the Kai Smith that we need today.
Praise God for him.
And that is a blessing. But all these ingredients go into her brand story and her messaging, which makes her even more explosive when she comes into a room who's dealing with husband and wife issues. I can speak on that. Dealing with mother and daughter. I can speak on that. Dealing with low self-esteem. I can speak on that.
Can.
Because I got the scars.
Ooh, many.
I've got
some of them accumulated, baby.
Yeah. So that's what I want you to take from all of this. When you come to IDBTC in October, I'm not going to be telling you the newest app to get and how to pay me for a logo and it's going to do it for you. I'm going to say it starts with you. And I like coming to IDBTC because it does a lot of the hard work before I get there. They're already excavating and pulling stuff out. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5. They're already doing the work. Oh, you're going to go through the big book. You're going to get to education. She's going to make sure you
get my book at. Oh, I don't have it right here. I don't know where my big book is.
You're going to get the big book. This is the Bible. Kai's book is bigger than this.
It ain't better than the Bible, though. Don't you put that out there, Chris. Don't you put that out there.
You're going to get the education. You're going to get more than what you invested. And just think about the longevity as you allow what you're experiencing in October take root and it starts growing and spreading, think about the lives you're going to be changing, including yours, starting yours first.
Yeah.
I wouldn't miss it. I wouldn't miss it. Anybody can give you a certificate. Anybody can say, hey, come get this and blah, blah, blah. You are now a certified so-and-so. But you're not going to get the experience of a Kai Smith and these amazing educators that are going to pour in you. Dr. Joy,
Ooh.
hand grenade,
Yeah.
a walking hand grenade. This is to blow your mind and open you up to a new way of thinking, creating a higher vibration or a higher frequency for you to get on.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking subconscious stuff here.
Yes.
So get ready, man. Get ready. Lock in. We got plenty of testimonials. Toya knows is she can tell you. We got the videos. So
Toya had an amazing eulogy. Like her eulogy was so bomb.
Yeah.
Like, but Toya is one. Toya is an ideal customer because Toya has already started doing her work. Toya lives her work. You know, it exudes her. She shows up the same way. She's about digging deep. She's about living authentically. She aligns with the health concept that comes with ID. So she is the ideal client for the Kai Smith brand. So the experience with her was phenomenal because it was like putting icing on top of a cake working with her. So with that,
capacity was there. The capacity was there.
Yeah, the capacity was there.
Mm-hmm.
The capacity was there. And it makes it so much more powerful when you're working with someone of that magnitude that is already recognized their work and what they have to continue to do, and they're just adding on to their growth so that they can continue to pour out into the world and align with the people that God has assigned to them. So this work is it's a lot of labor, but it's a lot of gratification when you see the receipts come back. It's tears, it's tears of pain, it's tears of joy, but it's so worth it because for me, my clients help me to continue to grow. They make me accountable to Kai.
Yes.
They make me accountable to Kai so that Kai can keep growing. So if you've ever been to ID, I promise you, you're going to same, because the last ID, Kai was who she is. This ID, Kai has evolved more. So I'm going to pour more because I'm constantly pouring into myself. So you're never going to experience the same version of Kai on each encounter. That's not even possible because I'm constantly growing.
Yes.
So we're going to leave it there. Chris, this has been a phenomenal live. I appreciate you for showing up for me, each and every single time behind the scenes and to come and share your genius on the platform. I'm excited. I can't wait to see you at Impulse Summit in September, which is just, in a few weeks, really like 3 weeks. I can't wait to see you. And then get to see you again in October, both you and Mitch. So let's just keep doing this kingdom work and making God proud and changing lives. At the end of the day, that's what it's about. So absolutely. You guys, I appreciate you for joining Chris and I for nearly 2 hours on this live. It doesn't seem like it's even been that long, but I appreciate you all. If you have not signed up for ID, let's scroll the link one more time, just in case we have people on the replay that are popping in. If you haven't signed up, I really encourage you. The tuition is $3,700, but I promise you it is so much more valuable than that because the gifts that you receive from that space that are intangible will continue to make money for you. And the gifts that are tangible will give you an ROI that will pay for nearly all of your investment for your tuition. So with that said, don't miss it. October 19th through the 23rd here live in Houston, Texas. There's so much value in that space that you do not want to miss it if you are an evolving beauty professional. Meet us in Houston, October 19th through the 23rd. And by all means, if you have any additional questions that you cannot find at this link, because we do have an FAQ section on this site, if the question has not been answered there, please feel free to inbox me. Okay. So with that said, we're getting ready to get out of here. We love you guys. There's nothing you can do about it. You have an amazing rest of your week, and I will see you next Tuesday. Good night.
I like to know why. Because I want you to understand what's really happening with your clients. Your clients who are coming into you are not coming into you because they have hair loss. They think they are. But it is your job to change that conversation. For them to understand that this is not hair loss. This is your body speaking loudly to you through your hair. And I'm here to interpret the language that your body is speaking. Whatever it is that you've been called to be, you're going to be able to be that once you leave me. I'm going to empower you to speak to your doctor so that you can get the help that you need.
I am here. I'm coming to get all this knowledge because I am going to pour it out.
And I'm open and ready to move forward.
So that's why I'm here.
Mita aqui na Houston com Kai Smith, o vou pedindo uma mais bonita mesmo, então me está experienciando algo mais bonito.
This is the beginning for you.